Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me to present about my work today. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Sarah Seaton. I'm a lecturer in perinatal and paediatric research at the University of Leicester, and I'll be presenting to you today about our work, estimated survival of very preterm births across the care pathway. So focusing on estimated survival for babies born at less than 32 weeks gestational age. I'd like to start off with a few acknowledgements. Firstly, I'd like to thank my co-authors for supporting the analysis and the writing up of this work. I'd like to thank all the MBRRACE-UK reporters who make the data collection and the data quality of the data we use in our analysis possible. And finally, I'd like to thank the Healthcare Quality Improvement Partnership, HQIP, for supporting us to undertake this work. As many of you will know, I'm an avid social media user myself, and I love to tweet about my work and the work of other people. However, on this occasion, I'd like to ask you all to please respect the fact that this is unpublished research, and at the moment, we aren't in a position to share it outside of this meeting, so please don't tweet about it. As soon as it's possible to share this publicly, we'll be in touch and let you all know. To give some background to this work, survival estimates for babies born very preterm have been available for a number of years, and the aim of these estimates is to help support healthcare professionals to counsel parents when they ask that important question, will my baby survive? They're also useful to help inform care provision. However, the most recent and current estimates in existence are around 10 years old, and these estimates focus on babies who were admitted for neonatal care, but don't look at other points in the care pathway, although previous estimates have looked at earlier points in the care pathway. As you'll all know, there's been ongoing improvements in recent years in maternity and neonatal care, which have led to increased survival, most notably at the earliest weeks of gestational age, as you'll have just heard about in Lucy's presentation, although I'll come back to that again at the end of this presentation. So to tell you a little bit about the babies that we included in this work. So we included all babies who were born from the 1st of January 2016 to the 31st of December 2020 in the UK and Crown dependencies. And these were babies born at 22 to 31 weeks of gestational age. We looked at survival to 28 days, although we did exclude babies where the death had a primary cause of a congenital anomaly, because we believe these deaths had a different etiology to the others. We looked at three different time points along the care pathway. Those babies that were alive at the onset of the birth process, which was just under 44,000 babies. Babies provided with active survival focused care, which was just over 42,000 babies. And those babies admitted to neonatal care, which was just over 41,000 babies. Now, survival to 28 days is different depending on which point of the care pathway you're looking at. For example, of those babies alive at the onset of the birth process, 87% survived to 28 days. However, for babies admitted to neonatal care, of those babies admitted to neonatal care, 93% will survive to 28 days. Also, as you'd expect, there's variation at each of these time points depending on characteristics of the baby. So, for example, again, of those babies alive at the onset of the birth process, survival to 28 days can range from 5 to 99% depending on the gestational age of the baby at birth. Similarly, of those babies admitted to neonatal care, survival can range from 23 to 99%. Therefore, the estimates that I'm going to show you have been adjusted for important characteristics such as gestational age, birth weight, and multiplicity. Previous estimates have also adjusted for sex of the baby, and they've undertaken subgroup analyses sometimes to look at the ethnicity of the baby, but we chose not to do that here. So I'm just going to talk you through an example of how you can interpret the results that we've provided. I'm going to focus initially on singleton babies who were alive at the onset of care during the birth process. Now, some of you may be familiar with the mortality grids that we presented in the past, but for those of you that aren't, what you can do to interpret these charts is you can look across the top and you can see the gestational age in completed weeks of the baby, and you can look up the side and see the birth weight of the baby, ranging from 300 grams up to 2,299 grams. And what we present here is we present estimates of survival for specific birth weights, but we only present them for birth weights that are likely for that gestational age. So just to pick out an example to show you. So if I was interested in looking at singleton babies born at 26 weeks of gestational age, with a birth weight between 900 and 999 grams, I would select those 2 points across the top and along the side. I would then look at the point where these 2 arrows meet. And just to make it a little bit clearer for you all, we can see that that is 90%. So of singleton babies who were alive at the onset of the birth process, who were born at 26 weeks gestational age with a birth weight between 900 and 999 grams, 90% of these babies survived to 28 days. Now, as I explained at the start, what makes these estimates a little bit different is that we've estimated them at these 3 different time points along the care pathway. And what's really important about this is that we believe they can therefore be used as the baby progresses through the different stages of the care pathway and can be really informative for a multidisciplinary team involved in the care of the baby right from the onset of the birth process until admission to neonatal care. So here's another example just to show you how that can be used. So now I'm focusing on babies born at 25 weeks gestational age with a birth weight between 500 and 599 grams. And again, to start off with, looking at singleton babies who were alive at the onset of the birth process. Now this time I've removed the arrows, but I've highlighted with a red circle the probability that you'd be looking at for babies with characteristics like this. So that's around 65% of babies with characteristics like this will survive to 28 days. We can take a step along the care pathway and now focus on babies that receive survival-focused care. So again, looking at babies born at 25 weeks gestational age with a birth weight between 500 and 599 grams, you can now see that 69% will survive to 28 days. And then finally, we can look at the last point along the care pathway that we're estimating for. Again, still looking at singleton babies born at 25 weeks with a birth weight between 500 and 599 grams, but of those admitted for neonatal care, we can now see that survival to 28 days is around 74%. Now, I just want to give a little caveat to the work that I'm presenting here. As you'll all be aware, and as you'll have just heard about during Lucy's presentation, there has been changes in recent years to the British Association of Perinatal Medicine's guidelines surrounding resuscitation and care provided to babies born at 22 weeks. And this work will therefore need updating to reflect the changes in survival that we will see in that cohort. However, for those born from 23 to 31 weeks, we think that these estimates will continue to stand for some time. Now, we aren't suggesting that these estimates that we provided with should be used directly as they are in clinical practice. We're suggesting that these may be useful to help in conjunction with clinical knowledge and the abilities you have from having treated babies like this before to counsel parents and families during this time. Here, I presented estimates for you for singleton babies, but we've also produced these estimates for multiple babies, and we've broken them down by important characteristics like gestational age and birth weight throughout these 3 different time points along the care pathway. We're hoping that this will be publicly available soon, and as I say, as soon as it is, we will share them with anyone that's interested. I'd just like to say thank you very much for listening to my presentation and Lucy's presentation just before me. We're both on hand to answer questions now that you may immediately have, but if you think of anything afterwards, you're welcome to contact us directly via email. Thank you.